So in today's episode, Tom's going to do a live gym workout while also speaking to us. Isn't that right, Tom?
I did not know to sign up for this.
So explain to us, explain to the viewers and also to the listeners. You know, Sunny should come back because they introduced the whole like creeps, didn't they? When they were like, "Oh, if you're creeping on us," but were the creeps the video people?
Yeah, the people that like watching. That's why they're called creeps.
Yeah. So if you're a listener or a watcher, because we're not going to be that unfair to our fans, but yeah, if you're watching or if you're listening, then Tom, explain to us where you are.
I'm in my new office, and this is where Dan should press the button for the applause.
Da, 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 da. I would just press the internal sound effects, like the police academy go. Woo woo! Freeze.
So what I've done is I've slowly turned my garage into a gym, and then in that process, I was thinking, actually, why don't I turn it into a gym/office, which has sort of been on my brain for a while, just so then I'm not working at home, even though I am at home, but in the main house. So then I can, chill in the house and then be in more work headspace in the gym/office. So I'm in the new studio.
Explain to me some of the aesthetics of the new studio for those of you that are purely just listening while you're working along the same side of doorstop pods.
There's nice brickwork behind me, as you can see.
Nothing like exposed brick to kind of bring that like rugged New York feel.
Yeah, there's probably a couple of holes and a couple of spiders around the rest of the area.
It's called like nature-inspired exposed brick, right? So it's all in the marketing.
I was thinking I should have a second camera signed up to my one and have it call it like bird watch or I was going to say beware watch, squirrel watch, because I've noticed there's get some good views from the back garden window. I'm a bit low, but that's where I think a camera looking down onto the fence would be quite handy about now.
Hey, that'd be a good idea for a live stream. Maybe not only has Doorstop tried being a doorstop being a channel, a TV channel, but maybe you should have like Birdwatch as your garden. It's kind of like similar to those people that had the sheep, or was it lambs or goats or whatever up in Llandudno that they were like live streaming. Yeah. You could like sponsor the goat. Again, I think that's a great idea. And if you could like release food as well, I think that's a great idea. So I just don't have goats. Maybe it should be me and you. You just live stream in our offices and you feed us like chomp bars or whatever, you know, like good old days. So
yeah. So, and the idea is, I don't know how far this goes, is I'll slowly upgrade this office as time goes on, and I've got 2 chairs. So we can do a live pod from here in the near future. That's the hope.
Yes, we've got a confession as well. Tom and I were actually together this weekend, and we decided sometimes it's too much to record a pod when really you want to just catch up. So we decided we'll just plan the way that we're going to do an in-person pod. So maybe around Christmas time, which is probably like only, X weeks away. What is it? It's probably like, well, it's coming up to the end of September. So, not too long now. But we'll do an in-person podcast and figure out how to do all that and get us, hopefully we could do a couple of in-person podcasts. Like we should do like a year in review as well at some point where we're like the best things. Yeah, best episodes.
Podcasts in a week and then just publish them.
I think that would be like the best thing, but you would do those as like static ones that had no conceptual idea of like time and space, right? So you just say stuff for stuff's sake. But then you want your social commentary things, because obviously we've done a lot of things like, we watched this on Netflix or we watched this on TV, or like the Paralympics or the Olympics or whatever. So, which I think is always cool. Did I tell you that in the Paralympics, they had the first deaf person commenting live in events? Did I tell you that on Channel 4?
No, you didn't.
All right,
I do know that apparently the reporters were also had disabilities that I heard.
Yeah. All right. Let's
trying to do everything, but I didn't hear about that.
Yeah. Let's jump into the episode and we'll go from there. But before we jump into the episode, because this is more background stuff, 2 nights ago, I had a dream where, again, I was drumming, but there was no drum kit, or I wasn't at the drum kit at the time they started the music. And then when I'm there, I'm like, I have no snare drum. And then I'm like, oh, cool, I found a snare drum. And then I'm like, I have no in-ears. So it's like always that stress dream. And Kim was like, do you ever have stress dreams when it relates to our gigs? And I'm like, no, they're never our gigs. It's more like church-related gigs, which is funny. And I've not done those for years. And then last night, I had a dream that I'd lost my in-ears again, but I wasn't drumming. I think I was like rehearsing or something. But again, it wasn't related to Kimmer's thing. So I'm like, what's with these stress drum dreams? I did go to bed at 3:16 because I was working on Herd, which is going to be our new sponsor, but I'll talk a little bit about that later.
Exciting.
Right,
I think another sponsor that we need to do is electric blankets. I've got one just on me here. And it is a game changer when it comes to, say, heating up a whole house or a whole room or whole garage. Just have this on and sit on it, and probably someone's going to tell me that you shouldn't sit on it just because it catches fire. But anyway, keeps you warm, and if it catches fire, I'll be definitely warm.
That's when you upsell the fire extinguisher. I think Tom and I have been talking about doing podcast sponsorships and reading them out like radio adverts, because we could just get ChatGPT to give us radio adverts, and then we'll just put some like text or whatever, like buy now for your £5 coupon or whatever, like just rolling down the bottom, which would be funny. All right, John, rollers. Yeah, we definitely should. I'll do it in the post for
the funny
Herd.
thing is your ChatGPT, you know how I jump on it to do some...
It thinks my name is Tom now, I think.
Yeah, because it saved it as the history, so I deleted it. But now when I ask it stuff, it'll be like, maybe you could talk about your app, The Herd. I was like, this is where it's slightly like ski-whiffing everything is moulding us into one person.
Hold on to that.
I deleted some of the history of your ChatGPT because it was basically pushing me in different directions. But what I was wondering, that I've just only thought now, is could you just insert short-term memory things? So like you insert the persona of Dan, insert the persona of Tom, and turn them on or off. But I guess they might be their own ChatGPT bits that you've created. But yeah, maybe.
Yeah, you could make them as GPTs. But yeah, let's do the Paralympics, then jump into that one, because I've got some thoughts around that one. Do you want to intro us this week?
What are we on? What number?
1052. I don't know. I think we're on 76. I think.
Have you always put them in the...
We can't hear you right now, by the way.
Have we always put them in the podcast grouping?
I think so. In the playlist.
66 is in the playlist, so assuming that we put them all in there, we're now on 67.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
But there is a random private video in there.
Oh, that's why it's like, it doesn't feel like we were 66, but yeah. Yeah, just roll with it. Let's see.
It looks like a private video that is literally nothing. So we're either on 66 or 67. We'll find out.
All right.
So.
Don't be a doorstop. Don't be a doorstop. Don't be a doorstop.
Welcome back to Don't Be a Doorstop. We are on episode either 66 or 67, so we're actually slowly crawling up the way to 100 to see how we're getting on. As you can tell, I'm in a new studio called Ryland Studios, or in this case, Ryland Garages, but we don't deal with cars, as maybe that should be my sponsor. Yet, indeed. And we have some fun topics, from ChatGPT to Paralympics commentary to Herd potential sponsor winging it, and something else. But yeah, ChatGPTs. So let's talk about that, even though I know you're talking about the other thing. So you can create a ChatGPT to be a persona of an individual. So then if you had a client that you're like, how does this client want to communicate via their socials? Would you create a ChatGPT rather than going through the history element of it?
Yeah, and this is the trouble with personalization. The personalization is getting so much better that it's starting to have its own memory. And because Tom and I use the same account, what did they call it? because he lives, cost of living. We use the same account. It means that it's starting to think that I'm Tom and think that Tom is me, which is funny. So then it's not really personalized anymore. So it might be that Tom has to create his own account, or he creates his own GPT and just converses with his own GPT, which has a stored memory of its own, which is essentially just threads that you've kind of like given it to rely on.
Yeah. Have you seen the latest updates? How they've improved the voice apparently?
No, I haven't. Last night I was working on Herd, so I've been playing around with the assistant stuff. So the assistant API is essentially what the GPT stuff is, and I've started to rework Herd so you can chat to it like an assistant rather than chatting to it like just asking one question at a time. So that's the thing that I'm playing with to improve it. But yeah, what improvements have you spotted?
I think it was on Twitter. OpenAI has sent a video, and apparently they've massively improved the communication style. I think there's a little bit more emotion, and I think you can pick more voices now. And it, I think, does more languages. I'm not entirely sure. It's not been distributed because I think it's only the app only, and it's slowly getting distributed throughout the week. I updated the app today, and it wasn't on the app, so I was going to mess around with it to find out what it was good or not good at.
Yeah, they'll probably deliver it to the UK slightly later than the States and so forth. But this personalization issue with the whole like memory stuff is kind of similar to, like, again, cost of living. We all use the same Amazon account, and it's starting to suggest all sorts of stuff because many different people are using it at the same time. However, Amazon do have profiles, which is better, under the one account, don't they? So I think you're now using a profile, which is good. And I'm like, oh, if ChatGPT could do that, which is GPT's.
But then if you purchase it, then
it goes generic.
Yeah, it doesn't segment them off, which I find strange.
Yeah, because it thinks like again, you know, there's that they did this experiment.
Family, can't you? So you might be able to do it that way, thinking about it, rather than a user.
Maybe, but it depends because if anything, everything still goes through my email, right? So there was this. They did this research back in the day where they just had somebody's search history, and they were able to narrow down the search history to found the person based on their search history, because they were searching for like, oh, what do like over 50s use for gout or whatever. So you could like find out that this person has an illness or whatever, or like, and they're trying to do this, and then they have a cat, and you can like, and they were searching for these areas, so you could like from their search history you could figure out where they lived essentially. And I'm like, through my emails, obviously you can, yeah, they basically you can't find out where I live necessarily, but it's more so like all these hobbies and things are in my email. So Amazon don't put the products in the emails because it knows that Gmail is scraping it, and Gmail is scraping it to send you ads in your Gmail. So thankfully they don't give you that much information, which is actually irritating. It makes the experience worse. However, there is an app called Shop, I think it is, which is a Shopify like spin-off that is attached to my email account, and it tries to look for products that I've got like sent to me. But yeah, because everybody uses my account, it must think that I enjoy buying tons of different stuff. I guess the message here is buy Amazon stock, because the Ryland family are keeping it afloat. But yeah, it's when personalization almost like drives you wanting to create new accounts. So it's different with Netflix, because Netflix personalizing stuff, it's not that much of a hindrance. But if ChatGPT is starting to store memories, it's actually going to be a hindrance that it's suggesting stuff that's not relevant to me. It's suggesting stuff for you. Therefore, it's a good way for somebody to have their own account, basically.
Yeah, it is interesting. And that's the thing is, a random segue, but I spotted that Gary Vee was saying it's crazy how many people now are using ChatGPT over the search engine Google.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think that if Google randomly died today, it sounds like people wouldn't be that bothered, because a lot of kids are getting their parents into ChatGPT these days because it helps them out in more detail. Which, I guess it's back in the day where you'd be like, who'd have thought that Yahoo wasn't a thing? And then it wasn't, because Gmail came along, and then now like Google's going to get eaten up if they're not careful. But I guess that's why they're pushing their Gemini stuff.
And that's exactly what I'm going to have to do with my Google. So my Google.Cymru, For those of you who don't know, I bought gwgl.com, which is the Welsh spelling of Google, if there were a Welsh spelling, and it's doing really well. It's getting loads of usage, and I've started to track the searches so I can find out if there's any. Well, I've done this before, but I've tracked like a year's worth of searches.
Everyone lives.
Yeah, so I can find out what you're getting for your gout, and basically they're all anonymous. And it's so I can find if there's any product ideas or patterns. So one, I realized, my Binogion was being searched, so I created a spin-off site, but that's not worked as well. But then now I'm like, the search itself is pretty basic, and people are asking it questions, which would be perfect for a ChatGPT to actually answer. So I have Tide, TAID.Cymru, and that is a Welsh ChatGPT. And I'm like, I need to blend the two of them, because not many people are using Tide to chat to it, and Tide is Welsh for grandad. Not many people are chatting to the Welsh grandad, but people are using the search. So if I just blended it as exactly like Gemini right now, when you search for something, it starts pulling in like AI written kind of thing. So I need to do that. But also, I might have mentioned this before, but there's so much room now for me to essentially create my own Welsh Google ads, because in Google ads, which are essentially the sponsored search results on the top and bottom, you can't have it in Welsh. But I could have it in Welsh because, one, I have the searches, and then I would just get people to like pay for them to be put in. However, obviously I'm working with a much, much smaller audience, so I wouldn't know exactly how I price it. But even if I just grabbed a few things that would be advertised, even generically across board or whatever, it's like, I've essentially created my own ecosystem. And the more use it gets, the more obviously traction and potential for Welsh Google Ads, which I probably have mentioned before, but it's like, it seems more interesting than ever.
You should just have like a
Distraction
bidding war, in the sense of the first sponsored ad is £1 a month. The next one doubles and it's £2, and then each one doubles. So then people that want to come in
first
get it
first come,
cheap,
first serve. Yeah.
But then it'll slowly just double each time, because that'll be quite funny.
Yeah, because I'm like, I want to make some money out of it rather than it just be a product for product's sake. But it's like, I'm not sure if I've got enough volume to be able to get somebody to pay £1, because on some other platform they're paying much, much less. But it's not in Welsh. So it's like, I have got a Welsh specific audience, but then to know the intentions of that audience is a bit harder to do it. Again, I need to kind of collect more things, but also I run a Welsh Google Translate, which essentially is just a thing.
Get an app version of Google and then push that, but then do what TikTok does, and it scans your whole phone with knowing everything about it, and then you'll be like, yeah, I know all the information.
Yeah, you know how I'm not sure what app it was, but you'd open the app and it would give you a notification that it's copied stuff from the clipboard and you've not even done anything. What app was that? There was some app that was copying something from the clipboard, and it essentially
or whatever.
I don't know, but it was copying people's clipboards, and let's say you had information in the clipboard, it's a way that it can just like collect information on you without you knowing. But once iOS brought in the notification, you're like, why is this app copying my stuff? So Domino's Pizza app was doing it, and it's like, why is this doing it? And they were like, it's just copying a local like ID to track you. And I'm like, okay, cool. Unless it's just stealing all my information. It's the pizza you got to watch out for. So
pizza, it's the gluten.
Yeah, I'm also tracking the translations. So when people are translating from Welsh to English and English to Welsh, I'm tracking what they're searching for. So then I can use that as inspiration for words that people do or do not know. So then we can bleed that into Muselingo. It's all an ecosystem. All an ecosystem
that we're slowly building.
Yeah. One thing I thought was funny with you being in a gym, I think it'd be cool is, when you were talking before about these couple of episodes back, you'd have a drive-through, a garage or a car wash. It was a car wash, wasn't it? A car wash and a haircut place. I'd be like, why don't you have a podcast? When you was in Ryland Garage, you'd be like, you record a podcast and also get your car fixed at the same time. Or you do a gym workout while you're getting your car fixed. Like blend two things together. So we'll fix your car while also you work out in the background. And if you're not working out, then you can record a podcast. So it's multitasking.
That'd be very interesting. Podcast from inside your own car while someone else is fixing it.
Yeah. that sounds like you know
Live
the
therapy.
car, yeah, the
How are you
car
feeling at the
karaoke.
cost of this?
The car karaoke thing, you could just do it while the car's being washed. So you're actually inside and the car's being washed. And then at the end, if they don't answer the question, you open the windows while it's still being washed or something. If they get the wrong answer, you open the windows. Anyway, Paralympics. So obviously the Olympics have been and gone. Paralympics have been and gone. And I think the Paralympics again this year was phenomenal. One new intricacy that they had this year on Channel 4 is they had a deaf lady as a live presenter on the show. And the way that they were doing it is she had a person signing to her of the, Claire Balding, that presenter. So she had somebody signing what Claire was telling her. So every now and again, she'd look slightly to the left because the lady's on the sofa signing to her. And also she's able to lip read, right? So doing a combination. And then she's reading off the auto cue that happens. But then she also, because she obviously, presenters usually have in-ears and they have like a producer speaking to them. So like, oh, change this, or like now go to this camera, or like right now we're going to cut to the video. Okay, now you're back on, or whatever, right? They're feeding you information all the time. Yeah. There's another lady off camera that's signing any sort of like producer based things, because that lady, the second lady, has now got the producer in her ear and signing. And then there was a third element of it, which was like a digital board that would just like send messages and stuff. So she was able to do all that, which is like phenomenal, like really, really, really good. And it was cool because she kind of like fed back some of it. You know, the last leg when they do those like late night shows of things. So she was on the last leg one episode and she was like, yeah, it's amazing how tired it is. I'm like, yeah, it's phenomenal. You've got like essentially like 3 people. Oh yeah. And if there were additional guests, this person that was on the sofa would sign for the additional guests as well. But the timing of it and stuff was like phenomenal. She did an incredible job, because if you think how exhausting it can be processing lots of things, right? If you're under pressure, or if somebody's speaking to you and you have to speak to camera, even just that is enough to throw you off, right? Yeah. But having those multiple things, and it's just so like incredibly impressive and super inspiring.
You'd probably just have different voices. So you might have
exactly
things going on, but having different voices means that you could probably switch in between them, rather than you physically have to switch in between what you're looking at and then memorize what they are, rather than you communicating one thing over the other.
Yeah, so you have to essentially sign the differences, right? So you have to, for each voice or each kind of input, you almost need an additional person signing, so you can just contextually know what's what. But yeah, she did a phenomenal job. I thought it was freaking dope. Really, really inspiring. And again, it's about showing the examples. So like, let's say there's a deaf individual like that wants to be a presenter. Like, it is possible. It just requires more energy to keep up and a little bit more of a setup. But I think it's really, really cool. There's this app that used to be around. It's still around. It's called like I'm not sure if it's called like Your Eyes or something. So if somebody was blind, they would use this app to call up somebody in a different part of the world, and you would turn on your camera and get the person on the different part of the world, like on a Zoom call, to explain what's in front of you. So let's say I went to the shop and I was having trouble finding something. You would ask this person that's a volunteer, like, hey, I'm trying to find the apples or whatever. And they would like navigate you to the apples because they can see through your camera. Now, so that's for blind people. Something additional I saw recently was for people with like hearing issues or like deaf. They would have somebody signing to you, right, on your screen, and they would be able to hear the person you're having a conversation with. So they were able to sign to the signer on the phone, and that person spoke out loud. So they could have a conversation with somebody that doesn't have to sign, essentially, or doesn't know how to sign. And I thought that was so clever, because it's very similar to like AI being able to notice sign language. So you could get AI to note them what they're signing, and get AI to translate what they're signing. So then you wouldn't necessarily need to know British Sign Language or American Sign Language in some ways. But I've just had a notification that you're not being recorded because you got low browser thing. But hopefully we can just keep going. And if you disappear, I'll just be a monologue. So, yeah. Well, there you go. Your Wi-Fi needs an upgrade in the garage. Yeah. Well, what we can do is wrap it up here. Save us having to have a monologue of 20 minutes after the fact that your video has disappeared. But one final thing. Last week I did a gig in South Bank. I've now done a little behind the scenes vlog. So I've uploaded that on my channel. So if you're interested to see that, you can watch it. Yeah, it's funny. I should have recorded more content, but want to keep it light and easy. So you can see a little bit behind the scenes. Yeah. Because there's all sorts of little things you can add in, but I kept it light and easy. And go for it. Oh, in the actual iOS thing. Yep. Yes. All right, so I can actually start turning it. Okay, I should actually speak because otherwise the AI won't actually change it. So I can be in different Apple locations, and also I can put my own custom photos behind, which is kind of cool. So before I was showing you, I could do different colors. Yeah, different green screens. Yeah, I find all this stuff, it looks a little bit rough, doesn't it? But it's not too bad for a generic. It's because of my lighting as well, a little bit, maybe. Yeah. And I've got studio lighting on, but if I turn the studio lighting on, maybe it'll be a bit better. Because I think I might have blur. Oh, that's why. I forgot I have portrait mode on. So that's even clearer. That's really cool. Yeah, green screening ourselves in. Oh, very, very interesting. It's because they're like, right, Zoom did it all from the start, and they're like, why not have Apple-inspired backgrounds? It's very clever. Very clever. Yeah, and on that note, keep hammering those nails. Bye for now.